and welcome to the final edition of Fourth Down Magazine's Fourth and Goal for the 2023 season. That's it. It's state championship week. That means you don't have to hear from Andy and I, or at least me, for at least 9 months here. But Andy Shea is with me as always. I'm Jake Adams here, hosting one last time for the show. Happy December, happy championship week, happy 3 weeks from now holidays, whatever you celebrate. Andy, how are you doing?
Good. Let's get rolling, Jake. Let's not waste any time. It's
Speaking of
championship
rolling, well
week.
done on the segue there. Steel High in the Class 1A championship. We'll start with just acknowledging that right there. But let's spend just a moment on the other two mid-pen semifinalists we had to say goodbye to this past week. Harrisburg wasn't really in its game against North Allegheny in the 6A semifinals, but Bishop McDevitt was stunned. I have a feeling you got some things to say about
Yeah,
that.
right.
Solid's bid for a repeat in the Class 4A championship and in the semifinals, and unceremoniously too. Any takeaways for these teams and their seasons as a whole, not just this week?
Yeah, first of all, Steel High was the only team in District 3 that didn't sort of, lose its lunch in the semifinal and sort of not get over the hump. I mean, there was Harrisburg and McDevitt. Harrisburg's not unexpected, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they won the District 3 6A championship for the third straight time. I mean, damn, that was
And
a
not as
monster.
a favorite.
Yeah, that was a monster accomplishment in and of itself. They were a huge underdog to a team that had boat raced them 30 points earlier in the year, and they went out and won the championship. And North Allegheny was just a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, and a little bit faster, and a little bit more polished overall. And they were a big underdog in that game. So they beat unbeaten teams in the district semifinal and finals. They won the championship as an underdog. They've won, that was their third in a row. That's 4 in 6 years. I mean, what else can you say? I just think the fact that the game was competitive, sort of, other than the score, it was one of those games where the score wasn't real indicative of what the competitive nature of the game was. North Allegheny had its hand on that game pretty much the entire time, but Harrisburg made it really hard for them to win. Right? That's what the Cougars did. They made it really difficult for North Allegheny to get to its comfort zone and win how it wants to. And I think that's a credit to them. I think they're the number 3 team in the state, no matter what happens in the state semifinal.
No shame in the way that they performed Friday and the way that this season went, really, at all. I mean, any Cougars hanging their head don't need to.
Yep.
Bishop McDevitt, though, what are your expectations on this one,
dude? They lost a game where their defense surrendered 1 touchdown and gave up less than 200 total yards. They lost that football game. I mean, you want to do the Fred Flintstone yabba dabba do about your offense all year. Now you have the greatest receivers and all of this. And then for 8 quarters, basically other than 90 seconds for 8 minutes, your offense can't do squadoosh in the playoffs. And it's not because it's cold. It wasn't even that cold. Their offense just went completely MIA in the last 2 games. I don't know what happened. The play calling, it looks like they only had 1 pass route play. I swear to God, I'm watching the film and I'm like, do you have another route to call? It looks like as the stage got bigger, the offense became smaller for the Crusaders. I have no other way to put it. I mean, and I will say this. I mean, if your special teams is that special in a horrific kind of way, then you're going to lose. And I don't think there is a way that McDevitt special teams didn't let it down. I mean, kind of every way imaginable, they let them down. I mean, block PAT, check. Block field goal, check. Block punt, return for a touchdown, check. I mean, fumble on a kickoff return, other team recovers, check. Begin the second half, not prepared, onside kick for the other team, check. I mean, that should about cover it on the special teams front. And I don't mean to be piling on, but that's a crap load of points going right down the drain right there. Either way you do it, right? You do the math and the game goes into double overtime. That's a huge swing. But still, the bottom line is McDevitt's defense did its job. Special teams is about coaching and effort and attention to detail. Hello, McDevitt. Pay attention to special teams. That's obviously a huge problem because it's not just one thing, it's every single thing that let them down in that game. But the one thing that they had to hang their hat on, and I said this last week, Jake, and we were talking about it. Your
Yeah.
best players or your best elements, they have to show up and be the best in these games, or they're really hard to win. That wasn't the case. And they still almost won in overtime, but their offense let them down. Radio silence.
That's the bizarre thing too. You get a bunch of FBS guys, and I don't want to be super critical of 16, 17, 18-year-olds. It's just never
not one
been.
dude. It's not one dude, though. It's not the quarterback. It's not the star receiver going to Alabama. It's not Stone. It's not Rico. It's the offense. But they are part of the offense. That offense went radio nowhere. It's like, where is your signal? I can't find you.
And it's so bizarre too, because like that's an offense powerful enough to overcome even all of those special teams miscues and mistakes. And
correct.
It's just not their day. I think you play that game 10 times and they still win 8 or 9 of those times.
Yeah. Oh, correct.
It wasn't that.
I spent Saturday going, like, watching different film and trying to watch again. Like, I swear to God, I don't know how they lost this game. Now I know, but watching the two teams, you're like, how do you do this? I don't know how you do that.
I use this line. I used to use this line a lot, but it's one of those games where if you're playing Madden, you just turn the console off and you say, this game never happened, but you can't. It's real life. So
yeah, but I mean,
anyway,
that many special teams mistakes that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. After 15 weeks to be that poor across the board in many different ways. I mean, you get an extra point block. All right, fix it. You have more chances, and they still didn't fix it because the game-winning field goal got the potential field goal that could have in overtime that they tried, which I don't know why they tried it anyway, got blocked.
Yeah. So now on to Steel High, the last team standing here. There's 12 teams total left in the state, and Steel High is one of them in Class 1A. The Rollers can win their second straight state title in 3rd in 4 seasons. There wasn't much of a concern against South Williamsport, at least looking back at what I saw. How impressive has this run been from what you've seen?
Yeah, they've been playing football at another level. I think the Rollers kind of not figured out, but they kind of moved into this place where they believe they are better than anybody else, not out of arrogance, but just out of performance. Mm-hmm. Right. Last year, they weren't very sure of themselves when they were making a run to the state title. This year, when the second season came around, they just sort of stepped on the gas another level. And it's like, no, we're good. And we're going to show you how good we are, because I mean, they've been gobsmacking these teams in 1A. And I mean, not just like beating them. They've been like taking them out behind the woodshed and just, pistol whipping them pretty bad. I mean, the only reason the state quarterfinal was close to halftime was because the weather was, neither team could hold on to the football or move. But then when the weather slowed down, they scored 21 points without even blinking. Then they scored 43 points against a team that hadn't given 100 in all its other games all season. And they had those 43 points early in the fourth quarter. And then last week, I mean, that was easier than several probably of the Capital Division games. I mean, it was 35-7 at the half. It would have been mercy rule a couple minutes into the third quarter, except they missed a PAT. So, I mean, that game was over at halftime. And so their defense has been very good, but their offense has been spectacularly high-powered and balanced. And I think that is what to look for in the next round.
Well, before we bring on one of those spectacularly high-powered offensive players who will be on for our halftime interview here, let's talk about Fort Cherry for just a second. What's the scouting report on the Rangers? Are there any names that Rollers fans, Mid-Penn football in general fans should know?
Well, the only name I'm going to give you is a quarterback. He's a sophomore. It's Matt. I think it's Sieg is how you say his last name. They score a lot. Stop me if you've heard this. They're 15-0. Hello. They score about 45 points a game. Hello. They don't give up a whole lot defensively. Sound familiar? They have a dual threat quarterback, a legit, like, running dual threat. I think Alex Irby's a dual threat, but he's a dual threat in a different way. Mm-hmm. This guy is an RPO dual threat. He's got a crap load of touchdowns. He's got more than 3,000 total yards. They've got another 1,000-yard rusher. He spreads the ball around. All of this should sound familiar because these teams are mirror images of each other's in a lot of ways. I think this game will be about the high-profile quarterbacks. This will be about the best offense. This will be the best offense either defense has seen this season. So that will be interesting. I know Fort Cherry beat Bishop Canevin twice. By the way, those are the only 2 losses for Bishop Canevin this year. And I know Bishop Canevin had a pretty good offense, but Steel High's offense is better. So the scouting report is both quarterbacks are going to be the highlight, and both of these defense will face an offense the likes of which they have not faced this year so far.
Well,
that's your nickel scouting report, Jake.
Trying to think of a good segue. Thank you for buying me a little extra, a couple extra seconds there. We won't have any high-powered quarterbacks on with us this week, but we do have one really impressive guest on who will be joining us in just a sec. All right, this week's guest does all the groundwork for Steel High's mostly aerial offense. Ronald Burnett is fresh off a 12-carry, 116-yard performance last week in the state semifinal against Southern Williamsport. He scored 2 touchdowns in that game as well. Now he and the undefeated Rollers are a win away from the program's 11th state title and 3rd in the last 4 years. Ronald, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. How are you doing this week?
Thank you for having me, and I'm ecstatic this week, honestly. It's a great opportunity. Like, I'm blessed to be here because this is where we prayed to be since the beginning of the season. Like, it's been a goal, like, especially since last year, because it was a lot of pressure winning the last one, and now it's like, okay, we have to go and show everybody that last year, it wasn't just a one-time thing. Like, we the real deal.
Gotcha. So I kind of want to take that in a similar direction here. Take us inside the locker room a little bit throughout this season and even this week right now. I know it's only, we're shooting this on Monday here, so you haven't had too much practice just yet,
Yeah.
but who are the guys in the locker room who, like, pregame you don't want to mess with at all because they scare the crap out of you with how focused they get? Or who's the, showing up with the best swag, the best dressed look? Who's
I see
in
what
charge
you
of the
say.
pregame playlist? Like, give us a little bit of
I
a
got
rundown
you.
of what you guys got.
So I could break down the locker room for you. So look, the locker room, honestly, there are no people who will come in and like straight serious. Like, everybody has fun before the game because it's like, we all know, like, especially going into the playoffs, we all know we could like be just this our last week. This could be our last week. Mm-hmm. Like, we looking forward to next week, but if it's the playoffs, it could be our last week. So the guys in the locker room, our energy is always up. We're listening to music, we're dancing. Now there are some guys who do sit with their headphones, and those guys, they do get up with us though. It's not like they just sit there the whole time. That's more beginning of the locker room. Like, we first get in, you got your headphones in. Then once everybody's up, we all up. Playlist. Oh, who's in charge of the playlist? Number 3 and number 1. Nazir Fuller and Yamir Caesar. Those 2 guys, they control the playlist heavy. They're like, no matter what, they are always on it. Like, it doesn't matter who else want to be on the speaker. No, it's either one of them.
Who gave them that power?
I think they gave themselves that power.
Yeah, that's
it's like, because not many people want to play their playlist for the whole team. So it's like, if you have a playlist that you want to play, go for it. And they're just the ones who had the playlist that they could play for everybody.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So, Ron, let me jump in. You've been around the football block once or twice at this playoff level. You guys are rolling at another level right now. You faced some unusually fierce competition during the regular season this year. The Capital Division was up and gave you guys some good week-to-week competition. You play West Catholic and Monte Christian in your non-conference game. Is the result of the second season being you guys being pushed a little more week to week this year in not only the Capital Division but your non-conference schedule? Do you think your second season is at a different level because your first season was so much more difficult this year?
Honestly, I would say this season, if I had to like compare like this season's like how hard the first few games were and then going into the season to last season, I would say the season was a little harder because we had like a lot of adversity to face at the beginning. Like, the heat was a real factor, right? Especially within week 1 to week 3. That the heat was tremendously bad. So it was like, especially going all the way down to Philly, playing in the middle of nowhere for real. So it's like
Saturday games in the afternoon in the middle of smoking hot heat.
Yes. So, but last year it was more of like, we didn't know when some of our games would play. Like, we had, I think, 2 bye weeks last year.
Correct.
We had like 2 bye weeks. This year it was more like full season. We get to actually like know we're gonna play every week of the regular season. So I would say this year has shaped us up pretty good going into the playoffs and then to where we are now. Last year definitely helped a lot. Last year was definitely a little bit more of a statement though, because as you saw, we lost to Westinghouse in the second week of the season, our first
Right.
home opener in like 2 years. So that really said something. It was like, we lost this game. Now we have to go and show everybody that we didn't flop. And this year was more of, okay, we didn't flop. Now let's get it. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. But this time, let's not lose. And that was the goal, not to lose.
So you're looking to go back. You guys are looking to go back to back.
That's what we're looking at.
So was it harder to win one last year, or do you think it's more difficult getting back a second time? Which one do you think is more difficult?
I think
Winning
it was more
one or getting back?
I think it was more difficult getting the first one because we didn't know if we were going to get there. This
Right.
year, it was more of our like, okay, we made it last year. What's stopping us from doing it again? What like if we do everything that we did last year and go harder, there's nothing that's going to stop us. Like we had to correct all the mistakes. We had to clean up everything. Like the preparation was off the charts for this year. Like I can't say like, oh, well, we just got in there, practiced, went home, and had a good day. Like, no, we were in there from like 2:45 to 6 o'clock. Even after that, we have to come home, watch Zooms for defense. It's everything. So it's like all the preparation going into it this year, and especially last year too, because last year was our statement year. Like that showed
Right.
everybody, that we didn't flop. This is not like a mess up. We belong here. We belong here.
What's the we know most of your work on the offensive side of the game, so I want us to kind of look at that particular angle of this. What is the scouting report on Fort Cherry's defense this week? What are you seeing as the coaches are taking you guys through film study right now, and what you need to be prepared for Thursday afternoon?
Honestly, what we need to be prepared for is that they're air heavy, like they cover the air heavy. So it's like as we pass a lot, that I'm a running back and I can tell you we pass a lot. So they're going to cover
Yep.
the air and we have to just sit and find holes. But then they also like to blitz their linebackers. So that could be a problem because if they're going to cover the air, we'd have all the time in the pocket unless they sent the pressure. So that's what they're going to do. Like we've seen it. They have an extra guy who will come off the edge of the will linebacker. He'll come off the edge most of the time. So we're going to have to keep our eyes open for him to make sure he don't slip in the backfield and get a sack while we trying to throw the ball or something.
Okay, I got a great question for you for Thursday. It is Thursday, right? You guys are playing Thursday
Yes.
afternoon. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
If you guys are successful on Thursday, what is the one thing you'll be able to look back and say, yep, we did blank really well today? What's the blank in your opinion that is key for you guys on Thursday?
Effort. It's effort. It's like there's nothing specific that we have to do really well except for put our effort into everything that we do, because we've been doing it all year. Like it's not like we change up something. We haven't
Right.
changed nothing. We do the same thing. So it's like we just have to do it better every single time, put more effort into it every single time.
I got a last question for you for this game. You willing to potentially risk some bullet board material here and put a guess
No.
out there? It's what the final score is going to be. And
No,
No.
I can't.
what are you
No.
My
going to
coach
do on
told
the
me.
field?
Look, my coach told me
No.
we not looking right there right now. We just looking to prepare up to the game.
Would
I
you
had to
agree?
try, man.
There you go. I would you agree though, your offense and the way Alex is running it and the way it's functioning, it's at a different level the last month than it's ever been at any point in the last 2 years.
I can agree with that because it's like it's more of a drive for us now. It's like
Right.
it's the end of it. It's like
Yeah.
we are all seniors. Like most of the guys you see who are on the field doing all the running around, like our wide receivers, our running backs,
Right, right.
like Tavon LeGrand, he's our fullback. So it's like we're all seniors. We have like it's our last ride. We can't go out. You know what I'm saying? Like it's more of a opinion thing. Like what everybody's going to think of us.
Right.
Like how are you going to like? Because I hear it all the time. My peers, they're like, oh, if y'all don't win the championship, y'all bad because y'all won it last year. But that's more of their opinion. Like, it's like, oh, well, now if we don't win the championship, we never gonna hear the end of it, even though these guys not even playing football.
Kind of comes with the territory, right? But
Yeah, it definitely does.
I get it. But I'm just saying, execution wise, it looks like, and your defense is still playing well. but this offense looks like it's just gone to a different stratosphere the past 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, I'd say starting with the West Perry game, even though that was a tough game, your offense was still like just humming along at a different level.
The
So
thing about the West Perry game that was tough was we kept getting flags and flags and flags. It was
So did
mental
they.
mistakes.
there were so many flags in that football
Yes,
game.
it was mental
It-
mistakes.
It was a lot. It was both teams lost their sort of cool a little bit.
Yeah,
and just
it was like
became-
we just going back and forth and back and forth.
right. Both teams became football stupid, but somebody had to keep their cool, right?
Yeah, it was like whoever could like keep their cool better would win
Right.
that game because if you lose your cool, you lost the game already. Like you can't mess up that. You like
There might
composure.
be, could be another version at Thursday when the bullets are flying and both teams are scoring a little bit.
My
Who
coach
keeps their
definitely
cool?
said that. My coach said that there could be like some like back and forth. Like it all depends on which team cracks first. Like you gotta have
Right.
better focus. You gotta have your composure right in the middle, not too high, not too low.
48-minute game. All right, you ready to jump on the hot seat? We'll
No,
get
I'll be
away
jumping
from
on the hot
football and
seat.
have some fun. All right.
All right, let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do.
All right, Ronald Burnett. Last one of the year. Here we go. Beach house or lake house? Which one?
Ooh, beach house. The view is gonna be amazing.
Nice. Give me one person, dead or alive, and it can be your choice whether they're dead or alive. Give me one person that you would want to have lunch with. Who is it?
Lunch with Dead or Alive, Juice World.
Give me
That's the
any
first
other
time I don't
team
know
in the
who that
Mid-Peg
is.
Conference. What's
You
that?
don't
Jay?
even know who Juice World is. Wow.
This is the first name all season that I do not know. I'm just gonna interrupt this and just out myself right there because why not? Last show of the season.
Yeah, not everybody knows about that, but there's a lot of people who know about that. Trust me.
Give me any other team in the Mid-Penn Conference whose uniform combinations you like and catches your eye.
Ooh, uniform combination. I don't know. Because honestly, I would have to say West Perry's last uniforms. They're like the last game of the season. You saw their camo uniforms.
Yes, you like
I
those.
actually like those. Yes, I really like those.
Nice, cool. All right, last one. Fun question. As much detail or as little detail as you'd like to share, what is your go-to order at Sheets?
My go-to order at Sheets. Okay, so I get pretzel bread, half a pretzel roll, put some
Elite.
steak on it, some bacon on it, some sour cream. Bam.
Any sides?
Nah. Maybe a ginger
Okay.
ale.
There you go. All right. That's it, Jake.
Well, Ronald, thanks so much. I appreciate the fact that you're the
It-
first person who said pretzel roll at Sheets because that's always what I get to. So finally,
Hey,
someone's on the same team here.
Best thing ever.
But thanks a lot for your time. Good luck on Thursday, and
Thank you.
congrats, no matter what, on a really good
Play
season.
well.
You guys in the roll.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure being here.
Great interview with Ronald. Ronald, thanks for joining us this week again. Let's break down this 1A matchup a little bit more. Steel High offense for Sport Cherry defense. You already gave us a little bit of your thoughts earlier before Ronald joined us, but what are the matchups to watch here? Where are the advantages for either team?
Well, speaking of Ronald Burnett, he's going to be key in what my breakdown is. So Fort Cherry, they cover really well. They got a bunch of receivers and they're good defensive backs, right? They cover the pass very well, and they're better than most at what Steel High will face in terms of pass coverage. And they like to blitz. They like to bring their linebackers and they like to blitz to create that sort of mismatch and advantage in the pass game for teams that like to throw. Steel High's patient though. Steel High will run the ball with Burnett. That's going to be an advantage for them. They're still a passing team, but they can run the ball more consistently and better with their running game than most teams give them credit for. They're not just going to come out and throw the ball. So that's going to be key for Steel High is will they be patient enough to make sure Burnett's the weapon that he can be in this game?
All right, flip side, Rollers defense, Rangers offense.
So
What are
they've
the
got
matchups there, and who's got the advantage?
Yeah, they got to be patient with the quarterback and because they have another 1,000-yard rusher, but everything's based off the quarterback, right? Like it's an
Mhm.
RPO style. He's a really good passer. He's making all the right reads. Steel High has to be disciplined. And I think they've got some advantages on the back end in pass coverage, but they make those advantages show up by taking some risks. I think they have to take smart, calculated risks. There could be some fireworks in this game. That's all I'm going to say. There could be 21 and 28 point runs in this game in like a 7 or 8 minute stretch. I swear to God, it could be some craziness going on. It's going to be a long 48 minutes.
It's not going to be Iowa, Nebraska. It's not going to be
No.
Chargers, Patriots. this is going to be a good old fashioned shootout. All right. That's enough for the Steel High games. Just real quick, just to acknowledge the rest of the state championships that are going to be right in our backyard this week at Cumberland Valley High School, which has done a pretty good job. From what I hear, I haven't actually had a chance to go to the state championship there in the last couple of years since they started hosting it. But 5 other games this week. We've got North Allegheny versus St. Joe's Prep in 6A. We got Imhotep Charter versus Peters Township in 5A. Dallas versus Aliquippa in 4A. Northwestern Lehigh versus Bella Vernon in 3A. Southern Columbia, we've heard them before, versus Westinghouse in 2A. I won't ask for your predictions. Everyone should go to the website for that. We will have staff picks out here later this week. But any thoughts on the other 5 games that we have this week?
So 6A, can North Allegheny hang with St. Joe's Prep? St. Joe's Prep is a national team, right? They're an all-star team. So can North Allegheny hang with them over 48 minutes? Good question. Is Peters Township as good as we think they are? I don't know. Imhotep's a really good test. Don't talk to me about the 4A game. Aliquippa might win by 40. I think I like the 3A game more than any other game. I just think it's the best matchup, but it could be the game that also disappoints you the most. Everyone knows what's going to happen in 2A, so let's just stop there. But I think the 6A game might actually be a game, but the game I'm most intrigued by is the 3A game because I think that one could be really, really fun.
I was actually going to ask you what you thought would be the best game of that bunch.
3A.
Game. So you already stole my answer. Well done. We are on the same page. It's taken us, 14 weeks of this to finally get on the same page. Look at Andy and I. Well, that's it for us for this season, not for this week, for Andy Shea and the Fourth Down Magazine team. I'm Jake Adams. Before we go, Andy, just want to say it's been a pleasure. And Adam, who's off in the background doing all the editing work behind the scenes and just running us ragged for this entire football season. Thank you for doing this with me, having me do this with you guys. Really, it's been a pleasure. It's been a great chance to talk with you again for a while. We haven't had a chance to talk too much since I moved out of state a little bit ago.
Good talk football.
Yeah, it's been great to talk football. Or Prince and Michael Jackson came up a couple weeks ago.
Loved it.
Off screen. So thank you guys. It's been a blast. I hope other people enjoyed watching us be a little bit goofy at times. And get a little bit of our general sense of self and humor and whatever else. But thank you for it. It's been a pleasure. For everyone on the Fourth Down team, make sure to check out, as always, one last plug, our coverage for all of the state championship games this week. We'll be there at Steel High versus Fort Cherry at Cumberland Valley High School bright and early Thursday afternoon. See you guys next year.
See ya.